Yes, do not rub your eyes because India are playing an ODI again after finishing the ODI against Pakistan last night. It's just the schedule. Don't blame the Asia Cup, just blame Jaisha. Just joking. My name's Avni Shagde. You're watching the match preview and yet another Super Fours game in the Asia Cup 2023. It's India-Sri Lanka this time. And the question is, boys, Nikhil and Gurkirat, and I'll come to Gurkirat straight away. Can India snap the streak of Sri Lanka today?
Yeah, they can. You definitely back India to come one up against Sri Lanka. I know India are playing in Sri Lanka, but uh, if the last few years are to go by, India have really dominated Sri Lanka, barring the odd game here and there. So yeah, you would expect India to come out on top. And I know India are playing probably third day on the trot, but still, you'd still believe the Indian team to come on top and register a good win, if not a comfortable win.
Nikhil, do you think we've got more rest than Virat and company after last night? Because three of us do our jobs equally hard, right?
See, we all keep trying. That's all that we can say right now.
Okay, what's your gut feel? We're about moments away from the toss. Given the fact that India played yesterday, Knicks, will Sri Lanka actually be hoping to win the toss and then put them out in the baking sun in Colombo for a bit?
Wouldn't be a bad idea to see and try that, but I think India were very aware of that aspect, and which is why you saw people not bowling extended spells yesterday. So Bumrah didn't come back to bowl, nor did Siraj. You had Kuldeep bowling the longest spell, followed by Jadeja and Hardik bowled. So I don't think anybody had a second spell in terms of pacers. So that just helped India's cause. So thank you, Pakistan, for that. And I think Sri Lanka, if the surface is tacky or better to bat now and then going to slow down, we have seen teams wanting to bat first. So I don't think Sri Lanka will want to bowl here, but let's see what they have to say at the toss. Nice. For a change, Bangalore's net seems to be stuck. We are taking turns here. But Pati, what do you think? Should they opt to bat first or chase?
No, I think the idea should be to bat first, regardless of whichever team wins the toss. For India, it would definitely be better as opposed to Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka has still got some rest. India are playing back to back, so batting first is far more important for India from a workload point of view. We have already heard the news that Shreyas is not going to play because of the back spasm. Now there are two ways to look at it. One is that if it's actually the same back spasm that is coming back, then it is a matter of concern, because Shreyas has been an important part of the Indian team over the last couple of years, and he's been very consistent at it. The other is that if it's a very convenient back spasm, which is going to get relieved the moment one of the batters get out of form. So there are two ways to look at it. I don't know which one I'd rather, which one is a more comfortable way to look at it, because for me personally, if Shreyas Iyer is fit, he should be back in the 11, just like how said the same for KL Rahul. Ishan Kishan has done well, but he's still your backup keeper. I just hope that they're not flirting with the idea of playing Kishan ahead of any of KL or Shreyas.
Yeah, guys, sorry, I was just like having a power shortage in my place, which is very rare. But nonetheless, keep your comments coming through. We're just moments away from the toss, and like this video for starters because we're right through the Asia Cup. It's unbelievable, and you guys can check out the website and the app. What are some of the key battles we can look forward to? Gurkirat, yesterday, Kuldeep had his tail up. Do you think he'll have the number of the Sri Lankan batters today?
The Indian pace attack versus the Sri Lankan top order will definitely be a good battle. Uh, we have seen that Sri Lanka, even though they've won games, they've lost wickets early on top. So, uh, you know, wickets of Dimuth and Nisanka will be the key. And Satiras, let me just read out his name again. Before I get it wrong. So Sadira Samaravikrama has done well, scored a good innings. So how the Indian spinners bowl at him, because he's going to bat in the middle order, is going to be important. From an Indian point of view, you'd like to see how they do against Patirana and Tikshana, and you would expect them to do better against these two bowlers as opposed to other teams, because they've played them considerably a lot more in the IPL. So yeah.
Nikhil, do you agree with those thoughts? The fact that when India's batters come out today, it's a completely different kettle of fish. It'll probably be a more spin-heavy artillery they'll have to face today.
Yeah, and I think this is also a good test to also see how much of the IPL notes have flown around about playing Thikshana, about playing Patirana, and I think from what I can see, India have won the toss, which is a good thing, and they will elected to bat. So most things sorted there. Ideal scenario there. We'll wait for the changes. And I think the one player who I'm very keen to see India face is Wellalage. Did not face a left-arm spinner yesterday, and Wellalage has been decent enough. So, of course, there are a lot of righties. Cheers to Somesh on that thought. But very keen to see how they go about playing him because you expect them to take care of this bowling attack who they faced in the past. But I think conditions are on the drier side, so it's not going to be as easy. And very keen to see where Shanaka uses Thikshan and Patirana because sometimes he's kept them for the end. Now, this may not be the game to keep them for the end. So let's see how that also works out. Yeah, and somebody's free Javnish again.
Yeah, coming to Wellalage, I was actually looking at a few numbers. His performance indicator versus at Colombo is he's taking 1.5 wickets per innings. He's not scored as many runs as what is his overall runs per innings, but he's still done well. Uh, he's not only it's not only going to be a matchup versus right-handers, but he also takes the wickets every 20 balls against left-handed batters. So even someone like Kishan will have his task cut out. And you've rightly mentioned, I don't know why Wellalage slipped out of my mind because he actually bowled well not only in that Afghanistan game but even versus Bangladesh, and he's really coming along really well. And it's hard to believe that he was just playing his under 19 World Cup last year because of the maturity that he's shown so many times with the bat as well as with the ball.
Yeah, I think there have been a few good under 19 players who have come through that batch in particular. So yeah, and I think we have Avnish rotating back. Yep. Hello.
Yeah, back again. Sorry, boys. It's just been chalk and cheese in terms of my connection yesterday and then today in the afternoon. I don't know why it's been like that. But Gurkirat, I just want to ask you this because I was thinking about this even before the toss happened. Now, India win the toss in batting, great, because then they can take it easy. But just imagine, dare I say, they lose Rohit and Gill early. Again, Virat and KL back batting again. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I mean, if India want to lose out to early wickets, I'd rather have them from a perspective that you want your batters to be tested. You'd really want Rohit and Virat back so that Gill and KL can then rebuild an innings. Gill so far, he scored runs. He scored some good runs in ODI cricket, but we have not really seen him scored runs when two early wickets have fallen. He scored runs on good pitches when others have also scored runs around him, and credit to him for that. But if India are two down early and he has to then rebuild an innings, that would be something interesting to see from an aspect of how can he control the innings. So if he really want India to be two down, you'd rather have Rohit and Virat two down and then let guys like Gill, KL, and Ishan Kishan build the innings, because that is something that you would want to see a lot more from this middle order, because you know what Virat and Rohit are capable of.
I'll just ask Nick's a follow-up question to that before I take Pranav Anand's comment, who says Axar in for Thakur. We'll discuss that and much more. We all kind of approve of that pick. But Nick's, do you think Rohit and Gill will actually show the same intensity they showed against Pakistan, or do you think they'll just tell themselves it's okay, just bat for 10, 15 overs? Our boys have anyway batted in the middle. Let's just get some time out there. Is that a fair thought?
No, I think they'll probably just go with the merit, something that they've done in the past. You stick to your process. Take it another game where you have to get a good score because the pitch is different. There is no grass on it. So it could start tricky. So I think the intent will be to put the bad balls away. And I think that is the best and the most, I wouldn't say cautious, but best risk reward ratio there, that you go as per the merit of the ball. If it's a bad ball, you go after it, you get out, you can't do change. You can't change that. But your intent is clear that will not let them settle into a rhythm, because then even Rajita has had some success against India in Pune in that T20. So it's been kind of a tricky thing for both sides. Sri Lanka also won new ball wickets. Sometimes you see Sanaka coming in earlier. So India will want to make sure that if Shanaka comes in and if he is missing his line, you want to go out and attack. But which is why I said very keen to see if they start with Wellalage as first change or do they go to Tikshina because they have options and India have had some trouble with left arm spin. So today now we will have a middle order batter, lefty middle order for batter for sure because I want Axar Patel to be promoted because that's the only way to test his batting. He's going to be wasted if he's batting at 8. So very keen to see. Hopefully the need is not there for that in terms of necessity, and you look it as a luxury that okay, let's send Axar up and see what we can get from him.
Gurkirat, do you understand the logic of that move, bringing Axar in for Thakur?
Yeah, it's understandable. Also, Thakur's not someone who's been short of game time. So it's also, if you think of that point of view, even if it's not entirely based on conditions, then if you want to give someone game time, then this is the player who's really had the most game time is Shardul. So you can really take him out. Also, Sri Lanka have a very good mix of left-handed, right-handed batters right throughout. So that also helps. So I want to see if now, because India are bowling second, there will be enough seam movement. It would have been really interesting to see that if India were bowling first and there wasn't enough movement, uh, would they have gone to Akshar Patel, say in the 8th or 9th over, just to see if there's any grip on offer? Because the pitch report and the captain has said that it's a drier wicket, so you expect some purchase for someone like him. And I just hope that now that India have played Akshar Patel, they give him the opportunity to bowl. It's not that he's coming on to bowl as a sixth bowler. Maybe bowl him ahead of Jadeja and see what he can offer, because Jadeja's a lock. You know what you are going to get of Jadeja, and Jadeja post the IPL and in the IPL has actually bowled well. It's Akshar whose bowling has slightly come down, so might as well give him the confidence and give him the ball early. That okay, here's your chance. Show us what you can do.
There'll be a certain Akshay Kumar Swami who'll be happy wherever he is. Akshar Patel's playing.
I'm meeting him day after.
Yeah, he's going for a trek, that cheeky lad. Anyway, you spoke about Rohit Sharma. I have some stats to show you, like we always do on this preview, guys. Now, in ODI since 2021, phases 1 to 10, look at that average, 57.4, and he's striking it brilliantly. 11 to 40 as well, nothing to show from, and 41 to 50. Now, I just get a feeling, Nikhil Popat, if Rohit Sharma, even yesterday, right, or day before, whenever he got out, essentially, it feels like he can just go runs and runs. No wonder he has bloody 3 triple tons. Why can't, it's just more the mental side, because sometimes you just can't get Rohit out if he has 10, 15 overs as sighters.
I mean, it is something that everybody's talked about Rohit for over a decade, that after a point of time, only Rohit can get himself out. And the reason why we all of us say that, because he has that skills, that temperament also to just keep going after the bowling. And sometimes it's thin line between looking to go too hard and then being reckless. So I think he's found that balance fairly well in the ODIs at least. Even the dismissal against Shadab, you saw him wanted to go over covers but ended up hitting straight, and it also took a good catch from Fahim Ashraf to get him out. So I think I'll just want him to continue bat this way. Take your time, but if there's a bad ball, you go after it. That is the most natural that you can see Rohit play, and I think that is what it should continue to see. And you build up towards a very good Australia series and then the World Cup like that. Yep. And somebody's statue? No, okay.
Yeah.
Is he there?
And of course, Virat Kohli, 400 in the trot in Colombo. No, I'm there, for sure. Oh, can you show?
You're all wondering.
Okay. Right?
Yeah, it's.
We can hear you, but
yeah, now I'm
it's
back.
not moving.
I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm back. I was just again like fretting. By the way, Gurkirat, so what about this man? Can, of course, he get another one? He loves Sri Lanka. He loves Colombo. 5 and 5 in Colombo, bro. Maza aa jayega, bhai.
The youth, obviously, the ideal result for you would be India bat, Kohli gets a century, and then there's a washout. Din bhi khatam ho
I want to
jaldi.
see Kohli get a double, bro. I want to see Kohli get a double. That's the one thing he doesn't have in ODI cricket.
Yeah, that's
When will that happen?
for that to happen. There was actually, I think the year was 2017, or I'm not sure which year was it, but there was this one game versus Sri Lanka in a bilateral where both Rohit and Kohli were going great guns, and it did feel like that. Virat has a chance to hit a double because he got out inside 30 overs, if I'm not wrong, and he had still scored 100 or 30 or something. I can't recall which game this was, but there was a chance. So yeah, you'd want Virat to achieve that feat, but if the openers do the job well and if they're not dismissed in the first 15, then it becomes a little difficult. It's not impossible. It's entirely possible for him because when India were playing Sri Lanka at home earlier this year, he scored a very good 160, and then also the openers had given a good start, so he'd come in to bat around 24th or 25th over. So it's possible. Let's see if it happens, but 500s in a row at the same stadium is not something that we have seen before. Let's hope that the law of averages doesn't catch up today.
You know, that game that you were talking about was basically the fourth one-day international in that India tour Sri Lanka 2017. And India went to score 375 for 5 batting first. They lost Shikhar Dhawan early, but Rohit Sharma 104, Virat Kohli 131 of 96, and they literally was schoolboys versus men out there that day. But let's see if that actually happens. Guys, speaking of which, predictions out of the way right now, early predictions. I got mine right. As much as Nikhil and Somesh laughing at me for India Pakistan 350, I actually came close. So I'm
But
going to say
actually,
four.
both of us called 50s though. For Rohit also, for
That's true.
Virat also. Yeah.
Yeah, individual predictions are spot on. So I'm going to go first. 457 for 1. India to break the world record today. Another double under from Rohit Sharma. Come on.
Drier pitch, but I still expect India to do well after a good start.
How well?
315.
Nice.
Because
Suddenly everyone's like, now come on, 350. India
no,
wants
because
India mood me.
they've been in good form, and Shubman has good numbers versus Sri Lanka. Virat has good numbers versus Sri Lanka. Rohit has done well versus Sri Lanka, and this is not the best Sri Lankan bowling attack that is out there. They are hampered by injuries, and Shubman has actually done well against Wellalage as well in that series that happened. I was just checking a few numbers. So yeah, you'd expect one of the top five to score a big one, and yeah, so 310, 315 is something that I'm expecting.
Okay, Nikhil, what do you think?
Yeah, I won't mind a double hundred if it happens, but it looks very unlikely. Given the surface on offer, had this been Lahore or another Rawalpindi highway, then maybe yes. But I'll probably go with my favorite number of 321 for 6. Let's go there.
321 for 6. Brilliant. By the way, love the comments which are coming through. We'll take all the questions at the end of the show. We still have about 10 minutes. Guys, I just want to ask you how India are going to counter CSK Sri Lankans, basically Theeksana and Patirana. I know that Patirana probably hasn't played a single ODI against India. Maybe Theeksana has, I might be wrong. But how do you counter them? And more importantly, Gurkirat, if you're Dasan Shanaka, who's your perfect matchup for Kohli and Rohit? Would you throw it to someone like Patirana, Theeksana, Kasun Rajata is pretty decent?
You'll have to start with Rajita and one other pacer from the other end, because Rajita, the good thing about Kasun Rajita is that he's accurate. Uh, but if again the same thing is that if you are someone who's very accurate, and if it's a day where the other batter is batting very well, then the batter can also dictate terms and get you off your line. Sometimes that has also happened with Rajata. So you'll start with Rajata and hope that if he's getting the in swinger going, he tries and get Gill's wicket, or at least one of the openers, and then probably bring on Theekshana a little early, or when Virat comes on, probably bring on Wellalage, because there are obvious issues with left arm spin for Virat. But overall, yeah, you really have to see how the pitch is playing out in the first few overs, and then probably make those changes. Because if it's said that the pitch is going to be dry, but if it doesn't turn out to be dry, then your plans can be set off. So that is something important. You'll have to see what I liked about Shanaka in that game versus Afghanistan was that he quickly realized that this is a 37 over game. So let's bowl all of my top bowlers, and complete their quota. Tikshana had bowled 10, Patirana had bowled 10, Rajita had bowled 10. Patirana, I feel India will be a little wary of in the beginning, but if they feel that they are picking him off well, then they would go after him. And uh, as a Virat fan, I want to say that he got the better of the main guy, and so I think he'll be able. He got the better of the master at one point of time. I think he'd be able to deal with the apprentice as well decently.
Okay. Next, some comments coming through here, and I was just going to allude to that Kasan Rajita chat again. We've seen actually how Dushman Chamira has had Rohit Sharma's number generally. Obviously, no Chamira today, but can he take a page out of Chamira's book, something like Gurkirat mentioned, just metronomical accuracies for the first 2 overs, and see if it does something?
Yeah, and I'm sure that will be the plan. And also, if there is no grass, sometimes if the ball does misbehave, it does bring your accurateness into the game that you're not leaving those lines. You're not leaving that line, and you are always testing the batters out. But what I think should help India in that sense is they were able to play out Naseem well with some luck. So you are prepared for something like that coming at you at good pace. So I think that should help them counter him better. And as Paji said, I'm actually keen to see how Pathirana goes with the Indian endovers because very often India have wanted a set batter towards the end, and that's what they've always relied on. That you don't have somebody just coming in and going quickly. So I think
Hmm.
in this lineup, that is something that's where they can try and see if there is something there that they can say that okay, you send a Jadeja and ask him to go and hit, or you send an Axar Patel in that regard. So again, that's very long, but I feel that's one area where it will be interesting to see on a surface that is slightly slowing down. How do they counter Patrana? Because he'll not come onto the bat as well. So there will be some good challenges there to take care of.
I also want to see how India go against someone like the Dhananjay De Silva, because in the last game it was evident that India wanted to hit Iftikhar out of the attack, but DDS is a far better bowler, and if the pitch is dry, he'll know how to bowl on the surface. So what would be India's approach is what I want to see versus someone like a Dhananjay De Silva, because there are six right-handers. So let's see who's going to chance who's going to take a chance against him.
Hmm. By the way, Aditya Anand saying totally agree with Nick's another box to be ticked. And Gurkirat, I just want to ask you one question about where was that question earlier? We
Only
just
one
saw it.
question.
Yeah, this
And
one.
only 1 minute to answer.
This one. This one. Answer it. Is there a rant coming? Come on. Yesterday, India played to their full potential, bro. You can't diss them. They're winning the World Cup. You said this yesterday in the review.
No rant. I don't know rant for what.
I don't know. You tell me.
That's a very funny name, Gurkirat and Kumar. I don't no rant. I mean, there's nothing to rant about.
Okay. Why don't you take this one from Vasant Narayan then? You will have additional keepers back up in the squad itself and let Rahul focus on his batting. Ishan do bulk keeping, and if any one of them get injured, Samson can be the automatic choice. In fact, I was thinking yesterday because KL, of course, took a lot of twos. He scored 111, so he batted and he sweated quite a bit, and he kept. So is that going to affect him, Gurkirat? Because India play a lot of games. So do you presume KL to keep up till the World Cup and in the World Cup, or do you think they'll be giving Ishan some time in for workload management?
They'll probably give Ishan the gloves at some point of time. I think yesterday they just wanted to see how KL was feeling while keeping. If KL does feel any kind of fatigue, given the conditions were humid, we might just see Kishan keep the gloves. Yesterday we were discussing that if KL is going to keep, then we can be sure that he's going to be a part of the starting 11. But as the captain himself said that it was going to be Shreyas and Kishan, and they got KL into the 11 at the last moment. So difficult to really say, what is the exact plan. But if KL feels all right, then he should keep. And I'm not in favor of KL being rested altogether, because we've often seen he's someone who when he's batting well, he does bat well if he plays continuous cricket. Breaks really don't help him that much. There are few cricketers who come back very well off a break. This has been an anomaly for KL, because usually whenever he's come back from an injury break or any break, he started off slow. He's not looked the part straight away. So what happened yesterday was more of an anomaly in his career. And if he's feeling good about his game, India should not tinker with his place. Just let him play and
Okay.
carry that confidence.
Yeah, and that's a good thought from you there. Nikhil, I just want to ask you, looking at this fixture on paper, does anyone start favorites? Because India won their last 10 or 11 ODIs versus Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, of course, themselves are in this magnificent ODI run. So it's almost like an immovable object and an unstoppable force. Who's winning?
See, on paper, you think India definitely have enough bases covered. Something to discuss even in the Monday Night Live, and also in the previous preview, that there are most boxes that are ticked on paper,
Yeah.
and Sri Lanka have not always been consistent in terms of their key guys performing. What's good for them is they've got different people to step up at different intervals of time. So that's what they'll again rely on. That okay, if India are prepared for Tikshana and Patirana well, maybe a Wellalage does the job for them on the day. So Kusal Mendis has had a few good scores. They'll want him to come good. So I think on paper, India start favorites, given their form and given how they played yesterday. It was as good as game as it can get. So hopefully there is no law of average or whatever that they have a completely opposite day today. So no early wickets. Just go Shanti say build a platform, give game time to Kishan Axar with the bat, and then let's have a Siraj 4-4 if you want to, and let's tick every box possible.
Okay. I just want to ask you a couple of more other things before we wrap up, and of course, we'll pay heed to the comments as well. Gurkirat, there's a lot of hue and cry on Twitter of Shreyas Iyer and how it's been for him. Obviously, injuries hasn't helped his cause. In fact, when we cast our mind back to, I think, March 2021, was it, where he was in line for that ODI vice captaincy, and then he was out for a 6 months shoulder injury. Do you sympathize with someone like Shreyas Iyer? What do you put it down to? And is it just luck sometimes, which matters so much in a sportsman's career?
Luck matters a lot in everyone's life, let alone someone's sports career. And yes, I mean, he has been unlucky with injuries. Uh, to some extent, you could say he lost his IPL captaincy because of an unfortunate injury. Uh, but yeah, I mean, in Indian cricket, there have been far too many cricketers in recent times who suffered a lot due to injuries. There's Shreyas, there's Sundar. You could probably say the same about the likes of KL, and even there's one other name that I'm forgetting right now. Even Bumrah, you could say. Even Bumrah, he was at the peak of his bowling career last year, and to miss a World T20 where he would have really been a handful, given how the pitches were and conditions were. So yes, it's unfortunate, but I think the amount of cricket that is being played and just uh, the intensity of it, you'll have to accept that there will be injuries, and you'll also have to start acknowledging that the players who can keep themselves fit uh, are themselves. You'll have to identify this endurance and fitness as a skill in itself. You'll have to identify longevity in sport as a skill in itself. It's not easy, because we've seen how many injuries are happening and how players just pick up injuries sometimes even while just running after a ball or putting in a dive. It's unfortunate, but then
Yeah.
those who have been able to protect their bodies also require a lot of praise, because of how many injuries we have seen.
Is it right to immediately make the NCA the scapegoat, Knicks, or do you think Indian fans have just lost their patience because Gurkirat's mentioned all the names over there? So it's not fair to blame the NCA, or how do you look at it?
See, it's not possible to question them, given the amount of people who have gone there and come out injured. But the thing is we don't know details. We don't know how much of it was, because the things like these, they keep happening. I mean, nobody in the world is going to push somebody unless they feel they're sure of it. So sometimes in the previous two examples, we've seen Bumrah rushed back into the setup, and then it caused them. So I'm sure they also would have been a lot more careful about this. Which, Reyes, what I feel is the case is it is a concern, but it is not serious enough, is what I hear. So, which is why they are happy to take a precautionary measure now rather than rush him into the game, because he was slated to play yesterday. So, by all means, they deemed him fit to play. But if he said something post toss, just before the toss, then they recognize that okay, not the best of times to risk somebody. If we have this, let's take a precaution. So hopefully everybody is doing their job best. And as I said in the MNL last night, just keep everybody fit. Then you'll be there lifting the trophy on November 19th. If there is any other injury now, you'll end up again changing roles. Again, somebody will come out of wilderness, and then things will again go haywire. So let's just stick to what's working and continue.
Ajinkya Rahane at number 4 is what I read is is, is what I was reading on Twitter during the IPL.
It's madness. By the way, guys, love the questions. Keep them coming through. We'll take a couple before we wrap up right now because we're about 4 minutes from the first ball. So we'd all want to watch that on this Tuesday afternoon. And remember, because it's an India game, we'll be doing the mid innings and the review, and we'll show you some sumptuous stats. Speaking of stats, 22 runs more is what Rohit Sharma needs to get to 10K in ODI. In the ODI format, I should say. So I think it's inevitable. Let's see how it goes. Gurkirat, Arsenic Gunner asks, is Kohli 2011 to 2017 back? And then that made me think, because I was just looking at the cricket.com website and how much Kohli scored in the year 2023 in terms of ODI runs. Well, he averages, let me tell you, 61.44. He scored 553 runs. And makes you think, are we seeing the good old Virat or Virat 2.0 or 3.0, whatever you want to say?
For some reason, 61.44 doesn't really sound like a huge number when it comes to Virat, the ODI batter.
I knew you'd say that.
Yeah, but it's also the truth, right?
It's true.
So, see, I'm not sure if the Kohli of 2011 to 2017 is back. We'll probably have to see a bit more of him even in the World Cup. Also, I'm not even sure if 2011 to 2017 can be clubbed as one whole bracket for Virat, because what I felt, he became a very different batter post 2012 Australia tour, and then there was a phase from 2012 to 2015, and 2016 to 2018 was entirely different for Virat. So I'm not really sure if 2011 to 2017 can be clubbed together, but yes, the signs have been very good. Like I mentioned yesterday, for good part of his innings yesterday, it didn't really look like that he was scoring runs. He wasn't at his fluent best, but you looked up at the scorecard, he had scored 40-50 runs at a strike rate of 90, and then he exploded like he always does. So the signs are good. Hopefully he can keep getting better. I think one major advantage that Virat has in this format is that he's not forced to attack against spin. He can, take his time, and then when he's gotten his eye and has got the measure of even his negative matchups, he's able to find boundaries and gaps. Of course, having four fielders outside helps each and every batter. So the propensity to take a risk earlier is not there in this format, which brings the best out of Virat, because off late, you could say in the last 4 or 5 years, he's centered his game around minimizing risk while maximizing his own ability. So the signs have been great. If he can continue, there's nothing else that you can ask for.
And I forgot to ask you this. I forgot to ask you this yesterday. Which was the shot that you liked yesterday? Because for me, that Fahim Ashraf one where he improvised reminded me of how he kind of did that against SRE against Bhuvi. Brilliant.
In that 6-over game where Warner stepped on the boundary.
So did you like that shot yesterday, or did you like the one where he came down the track and he just lofted, I think, was it Naseem Shah or Fahim Ashraf over his head?
He did it to both. The last ball 6 was to Fahim Ashraf, but I liked the 6 that he hit to Naseem Shah.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. By the way, Pranav Anand going on to say Kohli facing a better pace attack than he did in 2011-17 and came out with flying colours, beg your pardon. He also says, good to see that the match discussions without many mention of the weather. We've just left it to the Colombo gods to give us a game, and hopefully that happens. Last question.
We can discuss food if you want.
We can discuss food for sure. Kottu Paratha for the win in Colombo, maybe Ministry's crab as well. Last one for Nix. Shout out to Nix, great take in Thakur selection, but is he a definite lock for you in that spot in the World Cup, Nix?
100%. There is no doubt. You don't doubt the loud.
Is there any?
And in a good way.
Is there any surface you look in the World Cup and be like, no, ye Shardul ke liye nahi hai, like Lucknow, Chennai, or would you still play him in those surfaces?
No, it has to be like today, right? No glass on the surface, you feel it's dry, then you play Axar. And then you see, the point is you don't take funky risk with him. If it's there, then he's done that and proved. Even yesterday he bowled a great ball to Rizwan. So he's time and again given you wickets when you need them. So you play him as per the conditions, and that eighth spot is where rotations will happen. I'm fine with that. But he definitely starts. Malab, I don't know how else to say it because rotation है तो start भी नहीं करना चाहिए, पर he is a lock in my sense.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for your time. I'd love to see you guys again in the mid-inning show, and of course, the people, the boys, the girls in the chat. Love how always you guys have the enthusiasm to ask questions from wherever you guys are watching, from the office or whatever. Pranav Anand, yes, the only thing we all want from this Asia Cup is all the players escaping without injury. It will be a big test for all of them today. Bumrah, remember, just bowled 5 overs yesterday. How many will he bowl today? And of course, the batting, so on and so forth. Enjoy the game. Catch the coverage on cricket.com. It's fascinating. It really is. If you guys don't believe me, I'll just take 2 seconds of your time to just share you the screen, because at the end of the day, we have a lot of things going for us. I'm talking about fantasy cricket, matchups, the live blog, if you guys are into that, and lots more. I mean, if you guys know, you know. Check out the website. I don't need to tell you anything else. And we'll leave it there, gents. Thank you, Gurkirat. Thank you, Nikhil. Apologies to everyone who's going to watch the show again and judge me for my internet. I've been learning from Gurkirat, so I don't know. I'm like, because
You learn only the bad things.
only the bad things, Raji. Only the bad things. But the good things too. You've taught me a lot. Fair to say. And by the way, there's an Asia Cup Classic promo video coming out. It's brilliant. We promoted it for you yesterday. I won't waste your time. Just go wait for it at 8 p.m. Press the bell icon, and we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. My 458 for 1 is coming true. Let's go, boys.
See you double.